Hey guys, what's going on? So in this one, we are going to be covering the Yatsufusa Guild Boss Guide for P5X version 2.0. This is week 1. So here's the team we're going to be running. We have Vino 1, Wonder 2, Chord 3, Queen 4, with Phoebe as the navigator. So a couple of things with this. So now that we're getting into kind of, I'd say like the portion of the life cycle of the game where there's so many units and so much variance within those units, like even just take Chord for example, she came out today, so there's people who just might not have her yet. Then you take into account that this entire rotation is basically dependent on the fact that I have her 5-star weapon and prosperity on her, so she's starting the fight with like 60-something% highlight gauge. And then add on to that like people might not have Phoebe. Yeah, I feel bad just because it's like I don't want to tell people who watch like, hey, if you don't have Chord's 5-star weapon, you just can't do this. But like unfortunately, they made a super busted 5-star unit with a super busted 5-star weapon, you know, which is going to create that larger gap of disparity between the people who pulled and don't pull, which, you know, isn't always great, but is kind of the reality of these games. So that's just off the top. Like, if you can't follow this, I do apologize. It's the best I could come up with. But if you don't have these units and you do want to see a video where it's like, hey, can you do this same team with like Leon and Okyann is probably who I would slot in here. But like I said, I'm happy to answer questions in the comments like, hey, I don't have Chord, I don't have Phoebe, what do I do? And I'll try and, you know, lay it out for you in the comments or whatever. Yeah, a long-winded way of saying if you don't have Chord's 5-star weapon or Chord or Phoebe, I apologize. But you can still take kind of the main principles of this fight from what I do and hopefully try and apply it to like a Leon and Okyann, you know, team instead. As for what Wonder's going to be using, we're going to be using the Arc Knife. He's going to have Dionysus, Bishamonten, and Yanosik. Nothing too out of the ordinary. As for Dionysus, kind of the usual. We're going to have, we need Rebellion and Revolution. He comes with Revolution. You will need to train Rebellion on him. As for Bishamonten, you just need his Imperial Purge. And lastly, we have Yanosik, and you'll need to teach him Rakunda. That's all we'll need on him, though. As for card sets, Queen is running Awareness and Truth. Vino is running Departure and Control. Chord is running Trust and Prosperity, and Phoebe is running Trust and Power. Although, note here, if you've done card farming, there is like a new card set that's specifically for navigators. I haven't done like a ton of research on it. That might be like the best in slot set for like all navies outside of like maybe Puppet or whatever, or outside of like if they have a kind of like a specific tech to their kit that requires otherwise. But just keep in mind like that set may be better than this one, so if you have that on, you're probably good to just leave it on there. Yeah, I don't have too many battle notes outside of kind of what I mentioned about Chord earlier. And then obviously, you guys have seen this if you've seen my videos before, but I use our A2 Queen that's in the guild. It won't matter. We're actually not crashing out until the weekend phase anyway. Whether you're A1 or A0, all it's going to change is kind of the final score number. Obviously, if you have a lower awareness queen, you'll get a lower score. If you have a, you know, if you A6 queen, you're going to get a much higher score than me. All right, so let's get into it here. So we're going to start off with Vino using skill 1. And I don't know if what I've done is like really weird, but you'll see like I kind of don't, I'm kind of like stalling until like the 4th turn sort of. And then Dionysus, we're gonna go ahead and use Revolution on Queen. Now, obviously, like I said, if you don't have Chord with her 5-star weapon, her 5-star weapon gives you 40% highlight gauge fill, like at the start of battle. And then the prosperity set gives, what is it, the 25% or whatever it is. So you stack those, you start with 65%. That's how you're that's how you're highlighting on turn 3. And then with that highlight, we're gonna go ahead and use Vino's. And then Chord is gonna go ahead and use Unison Notes on Queen. And then Queen is going to go ahead. We're not going to crash out, like I said. So A0, A1, it doesn't really matter. We're not crashing out until... I'm not crashing out until turn 4. So we're going to go ahead and use Sanction Drift. Inflict all those ailments. My whole goal with this fight is basically to try and, because Chord skill 3 lets you use a highlight, I'll show that in a second, but with Phoebe or whatever your navigator is, if your navigator was Okyann or Wind or whatever, with Wind I would use the skill 1, and then I would use her skill 3 whenever you have like the stacks. There'll be like scrolls here. Hopefully I can show you that on the Joker side, because I'm going to be using Wind, but my Joker stinks, so I have to gonna have to train him up a little bit. But yeah, so if you have Phoebe, we'll go ahead and use her skill 2 on Queen. Again, we're kind of just stalling. Like, everything about this is like, we're stalling out until, like, turn 4. So, Vino's gonna go ahead and use Bullseye Bomber on the boss. Wonder is gonna use Rebellion on Queen. Chord is going to go ahead and use Catchy Hook. This is her thing, so this skill is kind of what makes Chord insane, among other things. She immediately lets the selected person use their highlight and increases its damage by 75.5%. Almost 76%. And it doesn't change the highlight gauge, like it doesn't drain the highlight gauge. It doesn't, like, if Queen was able to use her highlight right now and I used Catchy Hook, it wouldn't take away her highlight. So, like, this is basically like a free highlight. So we're gonna go ahead and use it on Vino though right now, because we want to save both of Queen's highlights for when she's in Crash Out and in the weaken phase. So Vino's gonna go ahead and attack the boss. Phoebe, every time Phoebe's up, I'm just gonna keep spamming skill 2 until we get to the weaken phase, so Phoebe's 2 turns of her skill 3 cover us for the entire weaken phase. And then again, we're just going to go ahead and skill 1 right now. These other guys don't matter, so if your Queen is not quite as strong, don't worry, it doesn't matter if you kill them or not. Note though, on that light skill, that bless skill that he just used, that did get me a couple of times. If you go under half health when he uses that skill, or if you are under half health when he uses that skill, he has a chance to insta-kill you. Really annoying, but I think that's the only instance of it in this fight, so you kind of just have to deal with it for the one turn. Now, boss has 45,000 HP left. If your boss is lower than this, and you think Vino might kill him, don't attack. Just, like, pass with Vino, or use, you know, maybe use Blunt Edge just to get the ailment on. Or I would probably just guard, honestly, because we don't want the rotation to get messed up, because if what I was kind of running into is I was trying to get, like, Queen's highlight off with Chord using her skill 3 on Queen to do 2 highlights in this phase, and then do it again in the weakened phase, but the boss was dying too quick for me to be able to use that again a second time, because Queen would never go through the 4 turns to get her highlight back. So this is kind of the tactic I came up with. It's kind of just like a stall tactic, while putting on as many ailments as possible, and setting Queen up, hopefully, to do as much damage as she can in the final phase. But like I said, my guy could take a hit or so I wasn't too worried, so I just went ahead and used Vino's skill 1. If you're going to kill him, just pass with Vino or guard with Vino. Then with Wonder, we're going to go ahead and, actually, we're going to use, we are going to switch to Dionysus and use Wonder's highlight. And then we are going to go ahead and switch to Yanosik and use Rakunda. I may have used the highlight a turn late. I think you get the highlight on Vino, but I was talking and wasn't paying attention. It doesn't really matter, because Chord will get her highlight. That'll be the next highlight we use before Queen attacks, regardless. So, but ideally you would have wanted to use that a turn earlier. I just was yapping and not paying any attention. So, now we're going to go ahead with Chord, skill 2. And again, you could probably just, like, not use Phoebe for the one turn if you want, but considering she's going to get it again before Queen goes, I'll just use the skill 2. You can just hold it until the weaken phase starts. But now we'll go ahead and use, I'm going to use Sanction Drift again, reapply all these ailments, and we will hop into the weaken phase. Alright, now Vino's going to go ahead and use her skill 3. Pretty standard back and forth with Vino here. Wonder is now going to swap to Bishamonten and use Imperial Purge. Chord is going to go ahead and use skill 1 here, because Queen should have 2 turns of her, what is this, co-star left still. And we're going to wait. We're going to use Phoebe's skill 3 on Queen. Get our, like, crit damage up, our nuke up, whatever Phoebe does. Then we're going to Crash Out. Then we're going to use Chord's highlight. And then Chord's highlight, if you're wondering, like, you're not going to be able to use Queen's highlight again. The thing about Chord's highlight is when she uses it, she like ups damage for 4 turns, I believe it is. So yeah, another kind of busted skill. But Chord, for 4 ally actions, increase party's damage by 42.9%, and while active, fill the highlight gauge by 10% after each ally action. So for the next 4 turns, you're basically getting like an extra 10% highlight fill, plus whatever you normally get, which is, I think it's like 16 or 17, something like that. Plus you're getting 40, almost 43% just flat damage up. So insane. And then we'll go ahead and skill 3 with Queen, obviously. Then Vino, go ahead and skill 1. Wonder is going to switch back to Dionysus now, and we'll use Rebellion on Queen. I kind of misunderstood these Imperial stacks. I thought they fell off after a hit, but they don't. They actually last 2 turns, so apologies if you had like followed me and you were doing this like both turns. I mean, I guess sometimes the damage is probably worth it, but it lasts for 2 turns, so you don't need to use him every turn. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use Catchy Hook. And that'll let Queen use her highlight. And then Queen will get her actual highlight. And then Queen will use her skill 3. So you almost feel like, wow, I'm not doing like, you know, I'm doing a lot, but I feel like I should be doing more. And then like in 3 actions, your score goes like crazy. And so 69 million, I think this is like almost identical to what I had before. I think maybe I had an extra like 50,000. But yeah, Chord is nuts. Someone in my guild, actually the person, Paul, who owns this this Queen that I'm borrowing, he broke like 75 million this morning, which is insane. And then obviously, anyone who's got a Chord like A1, A2, the whales who are gonna go all out and get Chord A6, they'll probably be pumping like, I don't even know, 400 million, I don't know. It'll be insane. But yeah, hopefully you guys got something useful out of this. If you've been maybe, like, you got Chord in the weapon and you're, like, a little bit confused on how to use her. Like I said, I'm not, like, an expert. I didn't play the other versions of the game, so I'm kind of learning her as we go. Yeah, so a lot of learning right now. 2.0 just dropped today. I'm, like, doing the story. If you guys have started the story, how are you liking it so far? I haven't gotten very far yet. I haven't even gotten into the palace yet, but even right off the top, I kind of like the vibe of where we're going. Lots of cool stuff in 2.0. And yeah, again, apologies if like it's becoming increasingly difficult to find a guide that, you know, you can follow in your specific situation. Just because there's so many characters, there's so many more. Every new character is like, you know, however many permutations of like a build you can have. And then someone like Chord, where the weapon is almost like, the weapon's almost like another character. Like the 40% boost is like a second card set to the highlight gauge, or it's crazy. So there's just so much variance. So if it's like really hard for you to follow this, I apologize. Like I said, just use Leon and Okyann and kind of rotate, you know, Leon skill 2, skill 3 on Queen the whole time. With Okyann, you know, rotate skill 3, skill 1, trying to match everything up for your big damage turns in the weekend phase, as I'm disconnected from the server. I guess Steam is like having a meltdown today because of Silksong. Leave any questions or whatever in the comments if you're confused on something. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching, and have a good one.